It's time to open up your eyes, 'cause we were made to fly. We can do anything. We'll shine like the sun, the moon, the stars. We can go anywhere. They'll see us no matter where we are, 'cause we got the fire. We got the fire. Show the world the impossible is possible. Show the world the impossible is possible. There's a moment when you understand. You don't gotta follow all the plans. It's time to open up your hands.
Good afternoon. There we go. How's everybody this afternoon? Thank you for joining us. And those of you that will be logging in just a moment, welcome to our July 2022 edition of Coffee Talk with Trey. We have a lot to talk about today. And so we're just going to jump right into it. And so I can give most of our time to the main topic at hand. But let's start off and let me give you a recap of our Board of Education meeting on yesterday. Some of the highlights, those things that affect us in Post 3 and around the county, and some of the high-level important information that affects some of the things that we are doing within our communities and things of that nature. So yesterday we had our work session start at 2 p.m. And in the work session is where we usually discuss and really go through some of those board agenda items and what we're going to be approving. And then this particular meeting, we actually had a board policy adoption, which was also recommended. And so we're going to get to that as well. So first things first, the Sanders Elementary in Austell is getting a new roof. We did approve that contract. So that's going to start as soon as possible. One of the other projects that we're getting ready to start is we approved a construction manager at risk contract for the classroom addition and renovations at the Lindley 6th Grade Academy. So those of you that have been following along, you may understand that Lindley 6th Grade Academy and Lindley 7th and 8th will now, right now we call them the School of Lindleys. They are serving as purpose of one middle school in 2 different locations. And in the next coming years, they're going to be 2 separate 6 through 8 middle schools. And so we're working on that process now by making sure that Lindley 6th Grade Academy will be able to be a full 6 through 8 school. So we're looking at how many instructional units or classroom spaces that we're going to need to add to that building. Is getting some renovation in regards to like gym floor and stuff like that, those things that are needed to bring the school up to speed. And so that is happening now. We approved the contract to begin that work. And so over the next year, we will be working on getting Lindley 6th Grade Academy up to speed to become a full 6 through 8 school. There will be some realignment of who's going to go to the Lindley 6 through 8 school, which we know as the 6th Grade Academy, and who's going to go to the other school that's on Veterans Memorial, the Lindley that we know on Veterans Memorial, the newest school, 6 through 8, and who's going to go to that school. So we're working through some of that alignment and who within our community is going to what school. But we're going to have 2 middle schools that will then feed into Pebblebrook High School versus 1 middle school in 2 locations. And so we did approve that contract, and that has happened. I believe the completion date for that to be finalized is December 2023. So next Christmas, around that time, or next December, is when we are anticipating all of the renovations and things to be done. So, and then we will begin the process of having 2 middle schools after that. So I just want to make sure that you guys are aware of some of those changes as well. All right, looks like we have somebody joining. Hey, how you doing, Ashley? Thank you for joining us today. Let's see what else. We did talk about the roof at Sanders. $3.4 million is the cost of that roof at Sanders Elementary. So we're excited about that. Let me give you an update on the Pebblebrook High School construction project. We've been, we spent millions of dollars trying to, renovate, add classroom additions. We got a new theater, which is being built. We're going to get a new gymnasium, which is currently being built. We got a new field house, some renovations around the stadium area. And so Pebblebrook has been in construction for a couple years now, and I believe next year sometime we anticipate everything being finalized. So the theater is next to come online, and it is a little bit behind schedule. I believe it was supposed to original completion date was March or April. I think we're closer now to September due to just everything is delayed right now. As far as getting some of those things, supply chain demands and things of that nature. So we're looking at right after school starts. Hopefully it will be ready in time for our performing arts students to utilize it for their programming in the fall. As you know, it's important because the last couple of years we have been theater homeless for our world-renowned performing arts program. And so it'll be important to see that come online. Hello, Erica. Good to see you this afternoon. Thank you for joining us. And so theater is coming online. It is a little bit behind schedule. There's going to be some new parking configurations at Pebblebrook. So you'll see that start of the school year. There's also supposed to be classroom additions being built. If you've been on the campus, you know that they've already broke ground and started on that. Then the new gym is being completed. It's already started. We're in the process of that as well. So those things are coming online, and so we're excited about that to help mitigate some of the overcrowdedness that we that we are currently experiencing at Pebblebrook High School. So good stuff happening. Let me also give you this right quick before we move into it. There are several high-level important things that we need to really focus on as a community. Parents go into CTLS, which is it's like our learning management software. It's also our communication platform software. Please go in there, make sure that everything is up to date, that you're getting your communications from the school district, because as we start school, things are going to start coming fast. And the reason why I say that is because we have been accustomed through COVID to know that our food program has been free across the county. It doesn't matter where you're at. We've had free lunch for the last couple of years. Well, that is no longer the case. Starting this year, every parent needs to fill out their meal plan application. The meal plan application, for those that need it and qualify for free and reduced lunch, you need to complete that application. It is not like it has been the last couple of years where you did not have to worry about completing that documentation. That documentation is necessary. It is on every school's website. It is on the district's website where you can fill it out beforehand. If you're going to sneak a peek or some type of flyby or event at the school that's happening before school starts, they're going to have opportunities for you to complete that application there. Please complete it. Number one, because we want kids to be able to eat on day one. That's the other part. And there is a time frame in which those applications get approved. It takes a day or so. So we want to make sure that we have not sent our children into the building and they push in their number and that, it doesn't come up anything yet. So we want to make sure that that's done in enough time. The other reason why that meal plan application is important is because we are Title I schools. And the funding that we get from the federal government is dependent upon the completion of those applications. So the budget that we receive, Pebblebrook High School receives, for example, over $1 million in title funding. That is because we fill out that paperwork for the free and reduced lunch, and that is what triggers the amount of money that we get from the federal government by way of Title I. Also, our other title programs, Title III, all that is dependent upon different parameters, and that application is very important to make sure that we have what we need to support our students within our community. So please, please, please complete the meal plan application. I believe yesterday when we highlighted that concern in the board meeting, communication came immediately to everyone via CTLS. You either got it via text or email, to just be mindful that that is important, that we need to fill that out if you qualify for it. So please take advantage of that opportunity. One of the other things that I want to highlight is we had a presentation in regard to our virtual opportunities that we have, virtual learning opportunities. We have 5 different opportunities. And so the elementary virtual program will continue. The COLA program, all the different programs that we have, CVA, which is called Virtual Academy for our middle school and high school students. All those programs are up and going. Please watch our work session. And when you watch the work session, you'll see the breakdown of how those programs are growing, who's participating in those programs, the number of students, and then also how you'll be able to participate in the future for those particular programs. This is a program that's not going away, but it is based on demand. And as of right now, we do have a demand for those virtual programs. And so please, please, please take a look at the work session to hear about the presentation that was presented in regards to those programs. And they have been a big, those that need choice and need some different options, those programs have been very successful. So I do want you guys to look at the presentation on that, so you'll know if it works for you and your family as well. For all of my elected officials here in the Post 3 South Cobb area, particularly the Pebblebrook High School and the South Cobb High School cluster, we're going to have a brunch at Pebblebrook High School late August, mid to late August. A lot of you have reached out to me saying, hey, I want to do more for the schools. I want to be more engaged and more involved. And I don't have the capacity to walk each and every elected official into the buildings at different times because, there's 18 schools in Post 3. So what we're going to do for the Pebblebrook High School and the South Cobb High School cluster, we're going to have a brunch. And I believe I'm going to ask Dr. G at Pebblebrook High School to have our culinary arts team host it for us. We'll have it there, and we'll invite everybody. We'll invite all the principals from all of our elementary schools, all of our middle schools in the Pebblebrook and the South Cobb High School cluster. Those principals and leaders will come over, and we will meet at one time with the outgoing elected officials, the incoming elected officials, City of Austell officials, House reps, senators. We're inviting everybody to come so that our principal leaders can talk to us about how we can get engaged and how we can help support and how we can better our relationship and working together to improve education in the Pebblebrook High School and the South Cobb High School cluster. We're going to do that. And then also for my Powder Springs community, you better believe I'm coming out that way next. And I'm going to do the same thing with City Council, our elected officials in that area. We're going to schedule a time to get together. I don't know if it's going to be brunch, lunch, breakfast, but we're going to also do the same thing where we can meet with our elected officials. And this includes our civic groups like the Powder Springs Community Task Force. And we're going to all come together, meet with the principal leaders. We're going to meet them and we're going to engage together on how we can better our relationship and what we can do to support our schools. Hey, Unita, good to see you this afternoon. And so that's happening, and that's coming first of the year, August, September-ish is when we're going to do that. So I want to make sure I include the entire post in that. So the Mableton Improvement Coalition, the Austell Community Task Force, all of the organizations that are supporting schools in the Pebblebrook High School and the South Cobb High School cluster, we're going to meet in one place. And then we're going to have another meeting opportunity for the schools in Powder Springs and our elected officials in Powder Springs so that we can all come together and just have a time to meet, greet, and eat and fellowship and talk about our direction on how we move forward. So I think that's going to be important for this year. And so look out for those invitations and how we can be involved and how we can make that event very intentional so we can better the relationship on how we move forward collectively to better our community and education in our community. So thank you for that. Let's see what else we had on here. There was a series of administrative rules. So basically a lot of legislation happened this last year or this current year. And so now our school districts have policies that align with the legislation. And so there were several, maybe about 5 or 6 of those that came down that we have posted online. So you guys can take a look at those, so you'll know what you're responsible for in regards to some of those administrative rules in our school districts. This is important. We've had 3 tax digest hearings. Our final tax digest hearing was 6:30 on yesterday evening, where we were talking about the millage rate. And so this was something that happened within our board meeting. We adopted our millage rate at 18.8, 18.9, which means we did not roll back the millage rate. We did not roll up the millage rate. We kept the millage rate the same. What we did, and what that did, was allowed us to take advantage of the 11% tax evaluation. Our tax valuation allowed us to take advantage of that increase, so that we could continue to support the. We gave our teachers the highest raise in the history of Cobb County, and it was as a result of that increase. So we were able to do that on yesterday. Dr. Howard made a motion. He wanted to roll it back 0.1, a tenth of a mil, and it didn't pass. But I went ahead, and I'm in favor of that. And but we were not able to get majority to make that pass. And then, but when it came down to just going ahead and approving the mill so that we can move forward, I did agree to vote on in favor of that so that we can move forward with that. And I do understand the challenge that it is for those of us in the southern portion of the county. And I'm hoping that we have done the necessary steps of going to our tax commissioner and saying, hey, the valuation is not correct on my property. Please look at some of those alternatives that we have to address that, especially for those of us that are going to be financially challenged by the increase in that 10% increase in our property tax. Okay, let's see what else we had. Let's see. The superintendent, in his superintendent remarks, he discussed the that the Cobb County School District was the #1 fundraiser for the American Heart Association, and that is exciting. And so, you know, I just wanted to make sure I highlighted that as well. School starts in August, the 1st of August. So let's make sure that we're well prepared and ready for that as well. And let's see what else. 1 second, my kids are getting loud over here. Hold on 1 second. All right, I'm back. I'm sorry. My kids were having a great time in the back. And so I wanted to just remind them that I was online for just a few moments. I had an agenda item on yesterday, and it is the agenda item was the naming of Lindley 6th Grade Academy. And so, as you guys recall, I just discussed how Lindley 6th Grade Academy and Lindley 7 and 8 will become 2 separate middle schools, and they will no longer be known as the School of Lindley. So I am suggesting that we rename Lindley 6th Grade Academy. And I positioned the board on that on yesterday. We did not vote on it. We did not take action on it yet. I did present it. So at our next meeting, I am proposing that we will actually take action on the agenda item. But what we did was I requested that we rename the school after Betty Gray. And for those of you that know, Betty Gray was our board member here in Post 3 from 1992 to 2008. She served 4 terms. She's also the first female administrator and principal in Cobb schools. She taught, some of our Post 3 alumni that we all know. Former Governor Roy Barnes. She was the first principal at Sedalia Park Elementary School in 1975. 75. She retired from Compton Elementary in Powder Springs in 1990, and she became our board member in 1992, and she served through 2008. And so she was very instrumental in assisting Lindley 6th Grade Academy coming online as a 1-year school when Lindley 7-8 began to become overcrowded due to the growth in the area. And so we are looking to rename the school after Miss Betty Gray. She just recently passed, and so we're going to honor her with the renaming of Lindley 6th Grade Academy, provided the board approves it at our next board meeting in August. So I did want to make sure I highlighted that as well. Let's talk about public comment for a second, and then we're going to get to the new board item that was presented on yesterday and did pass. So in our work session At 2 p.m., we had 4 people to come and speak before the board. And the first person, Jenny Peterson, and she wanted to speak to us in regards to another lawsuit against the school district, grand jury concerns, and advanced placement credibility. And some of these things are very important, as you may know, and seen in the MDJ and other news outlets. The district attorney here in Cobb County, Flynn Brody, they investigated the Cobb County School District, and he actually released a report in regards to that. Now, our school district, we have not necessarily as a board discussed that particular report as of yet. However, I did look at it last night. I'll continue to look at it throughout the course of today. But there is a report that was released from from the DA. He convened a grand jury to look into the operations of the school district fiscally. And so we'll be able to talk about that in a future session offline, not the regular coffee talk, but we'll probably have a conversation in regards to that report once I have a chance to fully go through that. And then the next person is Fiona Peterson. She wanted to talk to us, and she's the daughter of the last speaker, Miss Jenny Peterson. And she wanted to talk to us in regards to school safety and code red drills. And she's a student at our schools. And so I always enjoy when our students come and speak to the Board of Education again, because you are you're the reason why we are on the board to help support you. So she spoke to us in regards to school safety, and that was very helpful. And we thank you, Fiona, for that. And then we had a speaker, Ms. Pamela Reardon. She wanted to talk about COVID and safety, and Ms. Karen Sonderman. It says Groundhog Day. I just think that was just something to put down. But she wanted to speak in regards to COVID and safety concerns and things of that nature as well. All right. The 7 o'clock meeting, we had all 15 slots were filled up. And so I'm going to go through these quickly. Our first speaker was Jeff Hubbard. He is the new president of the Cobb, I guess it's CCAE, and that is a teacher organization that helps support our teachers. We don't have unions per se, but this is an association that helps support teachers in Cobb County. And so he has come and spoken. This is his second time since becoming president coming and speak before the board. And he wanted to talk in regards to looking at pay for some of our classified employees and also some of our certified employees and the steps in which they receive raises. He also wanted to speak to Dr. Melanda, who has been announced as our chief academic officer, and making sure that she moves expeditiously to hire a social studies coordinator. And he listed the reason for that being important is because, again, with all of the new bills around divisive concepts and things of that nature, a lot of that falls in the purview of English language arts and also social studies, our history and how it's taught, and making sure that it's taught accurately. And so as the chief academic officer, she'll be responsible for hiring a director for social studies to ensure that our professionals, our educators receive professional development and guidance from that department head. And so he wanted to impress upon us to make sure that we navigate that space successfully by hiring the department head for social studies coordinator. And then also he wanted to talk to us in regards to the administrative rule GAMB, which talks about our educators having guns in the building. And so he wanted to give his concerns in regards to that. And then he also championed the idea of the Betty Gray Middle School at Lindley Sixth Grade Academy and naming it. And so we will make sure that we address that at our next meeting as well. Second speaker was Ms. Tova Ringland, and Ms. Tova Ringland is a mom and an educator in Cobb schools, and she has been consistent in talking to the Board of Education in regards to our students with special needs, autism specifically, and making sure that we are providing rigorous education for those students as well. And so we appreciate her continued advocacy and coming. And so, Tova, we thank you for that. Then we also heard from Alicia Thomas Searcy. Those of you that don't know Alicia Thomas Searcy, I want to introduce you to Alicia Thomas Searcy. She is the Democratic candidate for state school superintendent. And those of you may remember, especially if you're here in Post 3, you know who Alicia Thomas Searcy is, but you may know her as Alicia Thomas or Alicia Thomas Morgan. She is now Alicia Thomas Searcy, our former state representative in the area. She is running for state school superintendent, and she wanted to come and address the board in regards to school safety and that Board of Education policy, GAMB, the authorization of enhanced security, and some of the concerns that she had in regards to that. So I advise you guys to watch the first part of the meeting, public comment, to hear some of those comments. So Alicia Thomas Cersei, we thank you for coming to speak to the Board of Education on yesterday. She is a parent and of a student, beautiful Miss Layla, here in Cobb Schools. And so thank you for coming and sharing your expertise in regards to that. The next person was Miss Judy. Miss Judy came to talk to us in regards to Black student achievement here in Cobb County. And I'll probably call Miss Judy because she made a statement, and I want to ask where she got her data from so I can be on the same page with her. And so I'll call her shortly and get some information in regards to her. Hey, I'm gonna get to it. We getting ready to get into it because that's the main part of this meeting on today. So I'm trying to get through this stuff so I can get to the highlight, which is that board policy, and that because that's the most important thing that we're going to talk about today. Then we also had another speaker, Miss Latona. She's from Marietta, and she wanted to talk about critical thinking and in regards to making sure that we teach our history accurately and things of that nature. And then we had Dr. Ben Williams of Mableton. He is the president of the Cobb SCLC, Southern Christian Leadership Conference, which was MLK's, Dr. Martin Luther King's organization. You may remember him. So he came and he spoke to us in regards to the safety, that enhanced security policy, and his concerns with guns in our schools. And then the next person to speak was Miss Laura Judge. She's a resident of Cobb County, and she spoke to us in regards to strategic, which is similar to Alert Point, but she raised some challenges in regards to that, which I thought was interesting. I'm going to follow up with Ms. Judge to get some understanding as to what she was presenting in regards to the correlation between strategics and Alert Point. I'm not quite sure, but I'm going to follow up with her in regards to that. Then we also had Stacey Everett. She is with Watching the Funds Cobb as well as Laura Judge, and she wanted to talk to us in regards to the report from the grand jury that we talked about with our district attorney. And so she said that actual report was posted on Facebook on the Watching the Funds Cobb Facebook group. So you can go there to read that report as well. The next person to speak was Catherine Posniak. Ms. Posniak is actually the candidate for post 4, Democratic candidate for post 4 Board of Education member. She is a resident of Cobb. And I like Ms. Posniak's story because it kind of resembles mine. She is a product of the Cobb County School District. She grew up from elementary, middle to high school in her area. And now she went off to school. I think she went to Harvard, Columbia School to be an educator. She has been a superintendent. She's a certified superintendent. She also served as a CFO of the Louisiana State Board of Education. Very knowledgeable person, and she's running in post 4 to be your Cobb County School District Board of Education member. She came to speak to us in regards to the grand jury report as well. So this report has come up several times, and so again, we're going to take some time to look at it, and then we're going to report back in regards to what we have read. The next person to speak was Mr. Michael Garza. He's come and spoke on several occasions, and he wanted to speak to us in regards to gun safety in our schools. Again, gun safety. This is a thing that's coming up, and we're going to dig into it in just a second. Our next speaker was Miss Alicia Beliza Watts. She is a Mableton resident. She wanted to talk to us in regards to the enhanced security policy. And then Caitlin Infante, and if I'm messing up your names, please forgive me. That is not my intent. She wanted to talk to us about gun safety measures in our schools. Let's see, Melanie King. She wanted to talk about requesting additional direct services for students with special needs, autism and specifically. So we had another parent to discuss that. She gave us some documentation. I'm gonna read through that as well. Charles Cole came and spoke before the board in regards to armed professionals armed with guns in our schools. And then our last speaker was Leslie Litt. He is the F&T committee chairperson, the Facilities and Technology Oversight Committee. So we every board member appoints 2 people. I actually served on that committee for my predecessor, David Morgan, and he wanted to talk to us in regards to Cobb County School District Project Transparency. And so those were our speakers. Now let's get to why we're here today. Yesterday, presented to the Board of Education was a policy for the Board of Education. This is different than those administrative rules. Those administrative rules are how the superintendent will direct the school district, those employees, our teachers and our principals and area superintendents, to follow the policy. And those are the rules in which they will follow. The board policy is what we, as a board member, we give superintendent in order to operate the school district. So he operates the policy that we present. So we guide our leadership through policy, not through day-to-day operation. That is the job of the CEO or the superintendent. So this policy was presented to us yesterday to adopt, and it's an authorization of enhanced security. And I really want to get down to the meat of it. It's really about increasing security in our schools. And the first bullet point reads, personnel whose primary responsibility is classroom supervision will not be authorized to possess or carry weapons. And we're going to stop there because the rest of it was struck. Because we want to be clear that this policy does not allow teachers, classroom educators, staff that to carry firearms in our buildings. Okay, so I want you guys to understand that first. This policy is not authorizing teachers to carry guns. That is not what this policy is about. The policy allows our superintendent to expand the current security enhancements for our schools. And what that looks like will allow him to create personnel to carry weapons in our schools to help support our current school resource officers. So these will not be school resource officers. They will be additional personnel that will have security, enhanced security capabilities to support our school resource officers. They will fall under the purview of the school resource officers. Chief Story with our Cobb County School District Police Department. And yes, so Ashley, you asked, who does it authorize? This policy, this board policy would authorize the superintendent to begin the process of creating enhanced security measures. And in this process, we're talking about additional personnel who will be assigned to schools, but they will have the authorization to carry a firearm. Okay, our Cobb County School District Police Department currently carries a firearm, but they're also post-certified, which means they have gone through the training of being they're a real police. This is a real police department. This is not a security team or anything like that. The Cobb County School District Police Department is a fully authorized police department, just like the Cobb County Police Department, just like our city police departments. They go through the same training. So yes, Ashley, trained professionals is what we're talking about, is what the superintendent is asking, but they will not have the same training as our school resource officers who are police certified. They are post-certified. Okay, they will go through a battery of tests to ensure that they can carry a firearm. They know how to shoot, things of that nature. They will go through some of the psychological evaluations. They will not be post-certified. So this is one of the things that has given me pause when we're talking about allowing people into the building that will carry guns. So that's where my pause is. Even police officers who are working in a high stress capacity on a daily basis, and they carry guns, they go through a battery of tests, they go through a battery of psychological evaluations and things of that nature on a regular basis. And so and even they make mistakes, and we know that, right? So my hope is that even though we're talking about having additional support in our schools, and I think that is necessary, I think that is important, um, I am apprehensive about not allowing, not having the same level of training in regards to at least being post certified. That should be, for me, that should be the floor. That should be the minimum expectation. But that is the exemption in this case. They will be armed, but they won't necessarily be post certified. And I know that there are some other agencies out here in Cobb County that have similar programs where they have a security force that is not post certified. I think they do it very well at Wellstar Hospital. If you go to Wellstar Hospital, they hire retired military or former police officers, and they now work as part of the security detail for the hospital. And they're not post certified. They do carry a firearm. But again, this is still a concern because we're talking about children and being around children all day. So you asked the question. This is the right question. What will their interactions be with students? I am always concerned with the rules of engagement when we're talking about children. Even in high school, middle school, just in general, I'm always concerned with the rules of engagement. And I don't believe that law enforcement officers should engage with students in school buildings. That is the role of teachers, educators, our administrators, assistant principals. And so that's what this whole thing gives me pause. This policy gives me pause because of that. The rules of engagement. Do I believe we need additional measures, enhanced security measures in our schools? Yes. Do I think that having non-certified, post-certified officers doing that will carry a firearm? I'm not there. I'm just not there. It's too big of a liability for me in my mindset, and I'm not comfortable with my children being in buildings. Now, this thing has been fleshed out. And I think it's going to continue to get fleshed out because the policy is what we create to allow the superintendent to come about, to create how this is going to actually work. And we'll see an administrative policy and some things like that. So yes, Tova says you're worried about criminalizing children's behavior with more officers. That is correct. I am looking to find out what the rules of engagement are. Because again, if their job is to keep the building safe, then I'm not sure that means interacting with children at all. So that is going to help us with that criminalization that we're seeing amongst our children. So I agree with you, as long as they are appropriately certified and trained. And so we have to understand, we have to come to a conclusion as to what that really means. Is that post-certification, or is that something less than post-certification that we all can agree with? And so I'm getting there as to what my thoughts are in regards to that. Let's see. Here's another question. Is the policy saying that any personnel can go through the training except teachers? No, it is not saying that. It kind of reads that way, which is, again, part of the problem with the policy and why I could not get to the place of yes on it yesterday. I am expecting this to be retired military and retired police officers, those that have had that type of training already, that know what to expect in a situation like this, not necessarily somebody fresh off the street that has never been engaged in this type of protection, protecting the safety of students in particular. And so that's what I want to make sure that we are intentional about when we're approaching the superintendent and giving advisement on how this should actually play out in our schools. And so that's important. Yep, we are on the same page. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So one of the things that I want us to look at is, this is something that if there was an event to happen in our schools, all agencies from around the county and probably neighboring counties actually show up if there's an active shooter. So it's important for us to understand that if we're talking about an additional layer of support, making sure that they are recognized by all these agencies, that we have people in the building already so that we don't have confusion and chaos on a scene. And so one of the things that I would like to see us do moving forward, before we when we talk about the implementation of the policy, because again, I agree we need to have enhanced security. How we do that is the most important part. I want to see a collaboration between the sheriff department, who is the mandated provider of security for the county, our police department, also every municipality. We have 6 legacy cities. They all have a police department. All of those police departments, there needs to be a cross collaboration of all agencies. They need to all be on the same page, and not just the Cobb County School District working in a silo with our school resource officers and these additional officers. I don't know what the title is for them yet. Additional personnel, security personnel. So there's a lot that goes into it than just what we're going to do. And I would like to see we talk about the one team and the one goal, and that goal is student success. I also like to highlight the one Cobb mantra. We are one county, and this school district serves the entire county. And so we have other agencies that are also here to serve and protect as well, and making sure that we all work well in the same sandbox, making sure that we all have collaborative efforts and plans, and that they are part of the development of this implementation as well, is one thing that I'm going to be looking for. And letting them come to the table with our chief story of our police department and the superintendent, saying, hey, when we talk about enhanced security measures, everyone needs to be at the table is my hope. One thing that I learned while going through Leadership Cobb this past year, we have a command center in Cobb County. It is very robust. It is a network of camera systems that go throughout the county. And if you watch the news lately, we have used that to apprehend suspects in different situations. And so the camera system is something that we can also plug in. We have cameras in our school system that we can also plug into this command center, so that if there's an incident, not only with our school district police department, but our Cobb County School District, our our municipality police department is going to show up. Georgia State Patrol is going to show up. Anybody who's close is going to actually show up, right? To help eliminate the threat. So I want to make sure that we all have the same resources when it comes in the event that we have to handle a threat. And Cobb County, our county, has a command center that is very instrumental in helping with that. I would like to see this right here, this policy, be a part of that overall structure of security for our county. So again, one Cobb with one goal and with being part of that one team of student success. I would like to see that be a major component of how we move forward with this, because again, this was passed. The board did pass this last night. Myself, Dr. Howard, we both dissented based on the verbiage. But when we talk about the implementation of it, I would like to see us have again, you said it just right. Streamline protection plan as a whole. I agree. And that is where my thoughts are. I'm actually going to schedule a time with the superintendent to actually discuss that thought process. Because again, I'm not sure if any of the other agencies were actually bought in when this was created. I've actually spoken to heads of agencies here in Cobb County, whether we're talking about municipal chiefs and high-ranking officials in some of our other agencies, and they were not aware of this. They are not aware of this particular plan. And so my goal is that we get on one accord and we get on one plan. And when we present stuff like this, that we have done the due diligence of reaching out to everyone who would be responsible for understanding what this policy looks like in regards to protecting our most vulnerable here in the county. And so that is my hopes and goal when I speak with the superintendent. And then also make sure that we work through what that training aspect looks like, and what continuing education looks like, especially if we're talking about firearms in buildings, because we're not just talking about tasers, we're talking about firearms. And so I want to make sure that we have some safeguards in place around firearms, because again, for me, that's kind of problematic, especially in the elementary world, in the middle school world. And so I want to make sure that we have some parameters around that, that we have that we're really thinking this thing through so that we can have community buy-in on it. Because as of right now, I'm not into guns in the building. It's just not a framework for me. Now, when we have after school activities, basketball games, football games, the community is on our property and is open to the community. There is always a need for enhanced security. We hire sheriffs and off-duty sheriffs and off-duty police officers to come and help support the Cobb County School District Police Department, because we're talking about large numbers. And football games can have upwards of 5, 6, 7,000 people or more at a building. So I want to make sure that we're clear about that. And you said it, guns do not fully equal protection. That's right. That's right. And so I want to make sure that these are conversations that we're going to flesh out, and because I guess what I'm hearing from the community through public comment, through people who have texted me and conversations I've had, even with other law enforcement officers here in the county, this is a knee-jerk reaction, and they want to make sure that we don't just do something just to say we're doing something and not be intentional about how we're doing it and how we implement it, for the protection and the safety of our schools and our students. And so that's where I am. I'm going to further my dialogue with the superintendent of schools in regards to this matter. I'll continue my dialogue with the chairman of the board, who he and three other board members, they fully supported this as is. And so hopefully we'll be able to work through some of the nuances of this in the coming future to get to a better place. But as of right now, Dr. Howard, myself, on record, we are not there with this. But as a board, this will happen because, again, through majority vote, it did pass. The superintendent is moving forward. So now we will work on the engagement on how we implement this. Yes. Yes, that's right. We want to make sure that we have a well thought out plan and it not be knee jerk. I agree with you completely. And so that's where we are now. And that's going to be the work that we're going to do moving forward to make sure that the apprehensions that we currently have are recognized and that we have a plan where we can all buy into, because I think that's important. My emails are blowing up even as we speak in regards to people who just not in favor of the policy as is. And so hopefully we can get to a place where we can have something that does enhance security. I would like to see it without adding guns to the equation. But again, we'll see where we can go to make sure that this is something acceptable for the communities that we currently serve in the county. And of course, a lot of concerns have been raised here, and I appreciate that. Continue to reach out to me. Those of you that have my email address, my board email address is thutchins, as in Trey Hutchins, thutchins.boardmember@cobbk12.org. You can reach me there, or you can reach me at Trey, TRE, the number 4, cobbschools@gmail.com. And we can dialogue, send me your thoughts, your concerns. I want to make sure that I have it documented so that I can present those. My job is to be the liaison between the community and the administration of the Cobb County School District. So please make sure that you're continuing to reach out. The community did show up last night in our board meeting. In fact, they were not happy with us moving forward with this agenda item as is. They actually, there was a demand to have the policy held to next month so that there could be some engagement. Thank you. I appreciate you for putting that in the chat. They were asking that we hold this until next month before we voted on it, so that there could be proper engagement with the community in regards to this. That did not happen. We did move forward and adopt it as is, but please share your concerns so we can get to a place where we're all on the same page on how we can implement this policy. You said, right, what other enhancements can be made? These steps should be made first. I agree. And so it did pass. Not for personnel. Well, it did pass for personnel to carry around children, but it's not staff. It's not like teachers and administrators. We're talking about an additional layer that's not an SRO, not a school resource officer, but another layer of support under the SROs that would provide this armed security for the schools. is my understanding. Yes. So thank you. Yeah, so here is my personal email address, treyforcopschools@gmail.com. You please reach out. Um, a separate entity. So what I'm saying is they will fall under the purview of the of Chief Story and the Cobb County School District Police Department. If I'm to take an example, the example that I have is Atlanta Public School System. So many years ago, the Atlanta Public School Systems had they had police department. Their police department was part of the school district. They removed them from the school district, and they now have unarmed security guards. They're not armed in every building, but they do have a roving security, a roving police department that supports those individual security personnel in those buildings, but they're not armed. So the difference will be we will have something similar to that, but it wouldn't be, but they'll be armed. So we did have all school level personnel removed by eliminating everything after weapons on the line. That's right. That's correct, Mr. Hubbard. Can you repeat the first email again? My official board member email address is thutchins.boardmember@cobbk12.org. So we use the same handle as the school district, the cobbk12.org, but it's thutchins.boardmember@cobbk12.org. It says it could be a good idea if implemented properly. That's correct. Ashley, you hit it. If the enhanced security measures can be, if this is done correctly, this is where I would like for, this is where the community involvement is going to really be critical. Sharing your thoughts and your concerns on how we can get this to work correctly. Because again, I believe we do need enhanced security. And and we just approved an agenda item not too long ago in regards to ensuring that we had a splash project to ensure that schools have what they need to ensure proper safety as well. Thank you for typing that. We have it in the chat as well. So again, yes, this can be done right. This can be done well. It did feel rushed, which is why I believe the community wanted to have another month to do exactly what we're talking about right here. Have community conversation about it, pull together ideas, give us an opportunity to really flesh this out so that the policy is written in a way that it has the proper guidelines for the superintendent to move forward with enhancing security for our school district, because we all see the need for that. We all see the need for that. So that's where we're at. I believe that we're going to be in a great place. I'm not apprehensive. I'm hopeful that we will get to the right place. But yes, you're absolutely right. We need to marinate on it. Yes, we do. And so that's where I am. I thank you guys for engaging on today. Again, my contact information is here as well. Please reach out. Please, if you have any ideas, because since yesterday, I've met with 3 different chiefs. And they've all given me something different and something more to add to this conversation. A couple weeks ago, Alicia Thomas Searcy had a school safety summit here in Cobb County. And we had our chief of police, Van Huser, there. We had assistant sheriff, Michael Register, who used to be our former police chief. He was there representing the sheriff's department, and it was myself and several parents. And we talked about this very same thing around school safety. And they had great insight in regards to what is important for schools and for our communities and making sure our schools stay safe. And I think that it is just advantageous of us to slow down and invite all these professionals to the table so that we can make sure that we really address, this enhanced safety measure in our schools. Alicia Thomas Searcy, she invited the chief of police, the assistant sheriff from the sheriff's department. There was an officer who, let me see, Georgia State Patrol officer that was there. Myself as a Board of Education member was there. Several parents were there. We had a teacher there as well. So we really had the spectrum of everyone who is attached to this issue that was there. And so, and it was about a good 2-hour meeting. And she's actually had the same session around the state. She's been to Columbus. She's been to other parts of the state where they're also convening the same similar panel of people to discuss what school safety needs to look like in Georgia as a whole. And so and I appreciate her taking the time out to do that, because again, we need to enhance the security, not just here, but everywhere. Mr. Hubbard, according to Robert's Rule of Order, all policies should be left on the table for a month before a vote is taken. That is what needs to be addressed with the board attorney versus administrative rules, which can be approved at the meeting in which it is introduced. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. I believe this was a concern that was also mentioned by another agency. And so this is something that we as a board need to come to, we need to come together on that particular issue as well. Email me your contact information so that when these opportunities come available, I want to make sure that I send it out and make sure we have you in the room. So I appreciate that. All right. Any other questions, any other concerns that you guys may have, let me know. Please email me, please contact me. I am here to engage and to hear your thoughts and to make sure I highlight them and bring them forward in the implementation of this particular policy item. Again, it has merit. I think it is going in the right direction, but I want to ensure that we have the right safeguards and guardrails in place to ensure that our children are safe and that to ensure that our community is safe as well. So good deal. All right. PTA board. Yes. TAP Middle School. Good deal. We'll be talking soon. I'm coming you guys' way very shortly. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. And again, please contact me. I have, this is what we're working on right now. We have other things that we're working on, but this is taking precedent right now. And we're going to move forward with that to make sure that we have the right plan in place for Cobb School. So I'll see you guys in a little while. Thank you again, Ms. Tova, for always coming to speak to the board in regards to the needs of our most vulnerable students, our special needs students here in Cobb County. We really appreciate it. It's invaluable information. Every time I look at it, it gives me more information. So thank you for that. Again, thank you guys. We're getting ready to log off. We have just short of an hour, so I appreciate it that we were able to get it all done in the time frame. And again, reach out, thutchins.boardmember@cobbk12.org or Trey for Cobb Schools at gmail.com. So, all right, what did you put? There are some good ideas cooking. Yes, can't wait to see what comes of it. And it's going to take the involvement of the community. So thank you guys for being engaged. Again, we'll talk about this again before the next Board of Education meeting, and so that we can continue to share some of the thoughts that I've received via email. So again, thank you guys, and we will see you guys very shortly. All right, thank you again. All right, let me see if I can find my outro. Gotta find my outro music. All right, let's see. There we go. All right, thank you guys. We'll talk soon.